You legends. My brother didn't make the ride this morning. While I was en route, I heard my phone ring, but it's already put up, so I couldn't get to it.
I think he forgot that the groups
so
are leaving earlier.
Was up. I waited.
They're leaving at 7.
Quite a bit until about probably 6:25. It takes about 40 minutes to get up here, so I had to really cook it. I had to cook it to get up here. I didn't want to go that hard. So right now I've got about 8 minutes to get up there, and it takes probably 5. So I made up a little bit of time. It's not a whole lot of wind because it's early in the morning, but something had to come up. Either he overslept or something. So I will get some clips for you all. I got my Chewbacca Bicycle Change Lives jersey. I don't know if you can see the text on there, but they donate 40% of the sales to people in Africa, in South Africa, I think primarily, that need bicycles to just get around, and it can change their lives for the better. So this is made by ASOS. I will put the link in the description for those of you who want to get a copy. It's a lightweight jersey. I love the design. It was designed by an actual cyclist who won a contest, a design contest. That's how they came up with it. So make sure you get your K's in today and stay tuned.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands. The group's leaving earlier in the area because of the heat, so they were leaving at 7. Picked them up, went down Fishcreek. I just sat in most of the ride, even at the fastest points. I filmed until we got to Lake Conroe there on 105, and then turned it off when we hit Walden Road. We went through Montgomery. We took 1097, took Bailey Grove, came back. We saw Paul on 149 on the way back to Taco Corner. So he was running a little behind on this ride. But I stayed with the group because of the heat, you know. Didn't really want to spend too many hours and be out there in the hottest part of the day. And so the effort was steady for the most part, for me anyway. I just sat in and didn't really do anything, took a few pulls. And I think you will like the clips I got for you. We're at 1488, the FM 1488 West, with Huffsmith Conroe Road, and I think this part of it is called Egypt Lane. When you cross it, the name changes. But I think Paul forgot that the groups were starting at 7. Last week we had to leave like 6:15 or something. So, well, we chatted after the ride. He parked where he usually does, where we start the ride, and so we talked after he got back. I just stayed with the group today. Got back in kind of early to stay out of the heat. Today was a record-breaking day of heat. So my plan was to just sit in and kind of finish out my rest week. So I rode hard last week, so to cap off the 6-week block. I'm intentionally sitting back. That's Chris back there. He always hangs off the back. The problem is if you do that and the group picks up the pace, you got to work harder. So in a little bit, you'll see me hang back intentionally to have him come forward. Like most rides, you know, we start out with a certain amount of riders. We ended up with just 6 riders by the time the ride was done. It always happens. Some people get off, you know, turn early, go back home or whatever else. So my plan was to put out minimal effort where possible, and hanging with a group is kind of hard to do. So I'm hanging back. We're just warming up. I let this gap open to force Chris to come around. Now he does. So this entire week, I just did easy rides. That's what I do when I have a rest week. Every other day, twiddle the gears, go out and just sightsee. No real training. I brought the orange bike out just to kind of get it in service. It's been sitting for a while. Of course, I tune things up before I started using it. When the bike sits for a long time, you know, depending on how long it sits, you want to make sure that your lubrication and everything is up to par. In your bearings and so forth. So as soon as we hit Fishcreek, you'll see me close up. I haven't decided how I'm going to carry the camera yet. We have a way we hold it with a little bit of gap on the stick so you can slide your thumb in. I'm trying that right now, so I'm still trying to fiddle with it. We're on the open road. And as soon as we turn, the speeds pick up. You see 400, 500 watts. And you see Chris is working really hard. He's in the back. You know, I mean, my heart rate not gonna go up much because they're not, you know, the road is flat relatively. I'm gonna roll in and just kind of sit close. I'm gonna stay in the wind more than I normally would because I want you guys to have this shot where you're not just seeing the rider in front of me. I want you to see who's up front and see the line from the side. So I don't draft optimally throughout this ride while I'm filming. Because normally you won't be sitting off to this side. Right now I'm just trying to get the camera settled. Once I do, I'm going to ride up. And I guess that's about here what I'm doing. So I stay a little to the left. I'm actually on the road. I'm using the road so you can see all the way up the line. Otherwise, it's kind of boring. I keep my gears low. We're doing about 25, or it's dropped a little bit, but I'm probably sitting in a 53.17 or 53.19, one of those gears. I think a 53.17. At about 100 RPMs in a 53.17, you're doing 25 miles an hour, which is about where we are. That's how I'm figuring it. That's how I know it. Because I don't look at it that much when I'm riding. Just strictly by feel. The road kicks up, so our speed drops. And since I'm trying to get minimal effort in, I don't do very high cadences. For me, you know, 75 to about 100, I don't consider that to be high. You know, I'm not going to be riding at 110 for extended periods unless I'm accelerating, and you know. But that's my range. You know, 75 to 110 plus. That's the range we play with. But most of the time, sitting in the back, want to be 90, 95, something like that. So you got a little more gear to play with. I don't want to spin out the gear every time someone accelerates. I drift back here on purpose because I want Doug to get in front of me. So Doug was at the front when we turned. You're gonna see him look at me like, what are you doing way back there? Right there. So he gets it. He wanted to make sure that that was the last wheel. Now I'm gonna ride up because I know the downhill is coming and we'll be doing in excess of 35 miles an hour. I would probably ride about 27, 28 miles an hour to get on the wheel here because they're doing about 25 and I want to get there quickly. So about 28, 45K. I stay on the road here because the transition to the bridge is smoother in the main lane than the shoulder. Right there, that crack is smoother there. So I always use the main lane, then I come back over. So I didn't have to work very hard there. So I had the momentum from the downhill. You can see my heart rate is 127. So, you know, the whole ride, I'm not going to stay in zone 1. I want to stay below 140 beats a minute, but riding with these guys, there were stretches where I think I hit 160 or something on camera, and then later on higher than that. But overall, my average for the ride was in the zone 1 range. I didn't take too many pulls or anything. I just, did a few pulls from time to time. The light had been red and I had changed to green. At this point, I'm the last rider in the group. Right as we go through the light, Darren pulls off and Logan pulled up with him immediately. Logan had announced to Greg, that's Greg on the right here in the red shirt. While we're in the parking lot, Logan's on the left here. Logan told Greg, last week I took a pull and I got dropped. I'm not pulling today. So Darren had been pulling, I guess, and Darren pulled up, Logan pulled up with him. And you can do that. You don't have to pull. If you're not feeling good or whatever, you pull off and go back to the back. It's better for you to do that than to pull and then get dropped and then your mates have to wait for you. You can hear the wind. I'm staying kind of into the wind because it's blowing from the west. And from behind us, southwesterly was the flow. So I'm staying there for this shot. Otherwise, you just see Doug. I like this shot so you can see the line and see who's pulling. I had no intention of roaming the bunch because today I'm taking it easy. You can see I'm already at 150 beats per minute. So a little higher than where I wanted to be, but with this grade, this ninja grade, falls flat per se, that's to be expected. I just kind of spun the camera around. Get a shot of Logan back there. Behind Logan is Darren. So the only way to truly ride very easily is either by yourself or with a mate that wants to do the same thing you're doing. Because once you get with a group, anything goes if you want to stay with them. So even though I'm not perfectly behind Doug, by staying close, I'm still getting the benefit of some draft. Because normally I would be on the right side of Doug. But then I wouldn't get this great shot. You can see Chapuisat out there. In a few kilometers, probably about 10 kilometers, we get into Conroe. Some guy on a motorcycle is racing somebody in a car. I shook my head because it's just so crazy on a public road. I mean, they were just going entirely too fast. And the problem with that is, any mishap, somebody usually gets killed. And then on top of that, if there isn't a mishap and you get pulled over by a peace officer, you go into jail for reckless driving. They don't mess around. And, you know, he was in Conroe, you know, they don't play around, you know, Montgomery County area, I think. It was close to Montgomery. They'll lock you up, you know, because you're in danger in the public. You want to race, go to a track. You guys will see it. It's just very loud. We couldn't miss it. But it was just too irresponsible. It's like the stupid years, or whatever phase they're in, it's the stupid years, you know. We all go through that. Doing dumb things on a public road. Didn't want to have an attitude when you pulled over. Go figure. Oh, man. This part of the road is a drag. I think it goes up to around 2.5–3%. We may be headed to, we're headed towards Red Lake Shores. I don't know how close we are yet, but right here we're climbing. You can see the road. So even though we don't have like too many 8, 9, 10% climb, but when you've got 3 to 7 and you've got them for hours, when we come north, you got these things hitting you thick and fast repeatedly. It adds up. You feel it. You're climbing 1,000 meters out here when you come, if you're doing any substantial amount of hours. This is Red Lake Shore. I think it gets up to like 2.5–3%. So my heart rate is a little higher than where I would have liked, but to stay with the group, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm right at sweet spot now. Sweet spot is the point between zone 3 and zone 4. You gotta determine yours. I'm just trying to keep my rhythm close. The range, let's say 75 to 100. That's the range. I'm not looking at that when I'm riding, strictly by feel. The gear feels too heavy, I find an easier one. Feels too light, go to a harder one. And on these rollers, you've got to shift because you're up and down. You can't have your cadence just out of skelter. You need to develop a certain kind of rhythm. But this is a stretch where we go and then it starts to go up before we get to the overpass. You still have to keep your rhythm consistent. You can see the watts are high, but you don't want to be like excessively spinning and then going to pushing. And, you know, the body's got to get a certain kind of notice for the work that's coming. So if you haven't trained like that, don't copy someone else's cadence. Everybody's unique. Somebody hit the brakes. That's why Doug had to stop pedaling. I stay on his left so he can move over. I would move over too. We'd move over in tandem basically. There's something, I think it's roadkill. Yeah. On the shoulder. As we start this climb, in a little bit, Shempusan will come and go up to the front. But, you know, that's just how he wants to ride. He's feeling good, I guess. He wants to go harder. I'm right at sweet spot. I'm hoping to stay in that range. I don't want to work too hard today. I stay close to Doug's wheel as we go up. I'm right at, I was at about 100 RPM is what I'm trying to stay near. Just spinning the gear I'm in. I think that's the camera stick bouncing on the on my brake lever. Yeah, I pulled it down so I can slide my finger in between it. That quiets it a little bit. So I stayed right around sweet spot. That was my goal, just not to go too hard. This guy was out here. We just caught up to him. I don't know who it is. He's just out here riding by himself. In a little bit, Mike S5 is going to pull out the line. I think Sam has already turned around or something because I don't even see him. I don't even know when he turned around or when he left the group. Sam was the guy with the flashing light on his helmet. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's no longer here. Oh no, he's here. Sam's up there with the orange jersey in front of the guy in black. That's Mike S5. I'm not sure why he pulled up. He didn't say anything. He just pulled up. I just rolled through. Got on the wheel in front of me. We're going straight. This is McCaleb Road. So Sam must have stayed with us until we got to close to Taco Corner. Then he turned around. I always get those Dutch angles when I just anchor the camera because sometimes I forget about it. It just feels comfortable to hold it in a certain spot. So Shempusan made that move on the overpass and he stayed up there all this time. He pulled, now he's pulling off. The effort is coming down for the most part. Dropped about 10 beats below where I was, 14 beats. Let's see. So now if you look at these guys, look at Doug's cadence. Let's see if I can get a good comparison. Look at the guy in front of the gentleman in orange. So Doug's right here in the red. The guy in orange. Look at the guy in black. I don't know if you get to see. His cadence is noticeably slower. And what happens if you're in such a heavy gear and someone attacks, it's hard for you to respond. So watch his pedaling. He's pedaling as if to say we're climbing a 9 or 10% climb. This is nothing. This is actually slightly downhill. if you look at the action from Doug, you can see how his gears are more fluid. So if you're in a gear that you're not on top of and somebody twists the screw, it's hard for you to respond. And this part of the ride is mostly downhill, so most of the time we're coasting or just moderately applying pressure. And he's going to, I guess, go off the front. I don't know if that was a sprint. I wouldn't call it that, but it was like it was happening in slow motion. Because if you're gonna attack, it needs to be explosive. So in a little bit, he's going to go left. The guy in black behind, that's Sam, who I thought had pulled out. Sam must have pulled out when we got close to Taco Corner. Sam in the orange is pulling. He's gonna go, the guy in the black's gonna go to the left, past Sam, but really doesn't very, I mean, it's like you telegraph the move. If that's an attack, it's not very effective. You'll see in a little bit, they always do it here on this little hill, which right before the light, you know, watch. That's slow. That is not an attack. That's Shempusan goes up there. I just keep riding, and you know we're back here. I just ride. The light's right there. I'm not gonna waste my effort. My heart is below 150 is where I needed to be. When you attack, it needs to be boom, explosive, to where the person can't react easily. I'm gonna ask Austin a little bit whether he knew what Mike S5 was going. Another way? Yeah, I think Mike went another way. He thought I said I might go another way. I said no, Mike S5.
Mike go another way?
Then Mike go another way. Mike pulled out of the line back there.
Yeah, I thought Mike had said something to him, but he didn't. I didn't realize Austin was back there. So Logan stuck to his word. He said he wasn't going to pull. He's sitting into there. That's Logan on the right. This road has a lot of crap, you know, debris. So I stayed to the left, even though it's not the most perfect spot for the draft, because the wind is coming from in our face from west and south to the left. So ideally we should be running an echelon, but I'm not gonna go riding all that crap over there. So I decided to just stay here. So I work a little harder than in an ideal situation. That's not the guy I'm talking about. That guy was he was actually blowing at us, the friendly horn. The one I'm talking about is racing. It's like we heard, you can hear the high pitch of the motorcycle before it even gets to us. And they go by, he and some other fool in a car are racing on the public road. This is what our peace officers have to deal with. Racing where? Where are you going? Go to a track, do that crap. It's control. You don't have to worry about somebody cutting you off or something, or other people using the road. But yeah, everybody goes through those phases, I guess. Hopefully nothing egregious came from that. I just have too much sense to do those kind of things. It doesn't make sense. I'm not sure what Austin was pointing at, something. So at this point, I'm just trying to put out minimal effort. Now, if you look at Austin, he looks labored. The gear he's in is just a bit heavy. And if somebody launches an attack, he will be hard pressed to be able to respond in that gear. Now, why am I pointing that out? If you're going to compete, you've got to be aware of that. You can't be in a race and be pushing a heavy gear that you can't turn quickly, because you would tear up your legs and you won't be able to respond to sudden accelerations. It's one thing if you're cruising by yourself. That's different. So just keep that in mind. That's what I mean, being on top of the gear, because he's not on top of that gear. And we can spot those kind of things. It's almost like blood in the water. It's a red light here. We're stopping. I'm not sure if this is the one that has there's a long light. I think it's the next one. This one changes. This entire stretch, the road's going up. So another tell on Austin on this ride was, I mean, he'd already told me that he hadn't been riding as much and so forth, but just watching him ride, if you look at him, he's laboring. And then when I'm behind him, he's weaving left, right. See, he comes back over. I just make sure I don't overlap him and let him do what he wants to do. But, you know, he's trying to hang on. You can see him looking for power. When you're not very fit, it's not fun to spin, because spinning a high cadence taxes your aerobic system. There's a tendency to want to use heavier gears. Well, the problem is this is a grade, and somebody at the front is pulling hard. I think it's Doug. I sit back a little bit here. You know, it's not that hard for me. I sit back a little bit here and I ride back up. But I can tell by his shoulders and stuff. You can tell when a rider's looking for more power. But he rode well. He rode well on this ride. He stayed with the group. I think this is where we come to this long light, and he wants to do a track stand. Now, he's just been struggling back. He should have saved that energy. It takes a lot of energy to do a track stand. So watch him. This is a long light. He should have unclipped, taken his water bottle, gotten a drink, and relaxed. And there are times when your cleat can refuse to unclip, so you're doing that nonsense. And you need to unclip quickly and it doesn't cooperate, you're gonna look real funny on the ground. I think the light is finally gonna change. You hear me say long light. Yeah, it's like, man, there's nothing coming from those side streets. I figured the lights were set up smarter than that. It's early Saturday morning. Nothing comes. That's a small street on the side. It should favor this highway. I think it's after this that we hear this loud, high-pitched motorcycle engine noise. Now you see all the energy he has expended back there. Oh man, Austin, he's having fun. Only about 6 or 7 of us go through the forest. 7 of us go in the forest and 6 comes out. But we're not, actually we go Bailey Grove, not the forest per se. We didn't go into the forest. only ended up doing about 72 miles or something this week. 72 miles is a lot of riding anyway. It's just referencing what we normally do. I'm resetting the camera's position. We're going down the hill here. I decided to move up in the line and get on John's wheel because all that weaving that Austin was doing back there, I didn't want to be dealing with that. So I moved up after his track stand. I think it's here. There we go. Right there. That's Mr. Two morons racing on the public road. Well in excess of 100 miles an hour. I just shook my head because it's like, what are you going to tell the authorities when you're stopped? That was a life and death situation. You know, and those are the things that lead to fatalities. He's going entirely too fast for this road because there are a lot of intersections up ahead and there's a lot of construction up ahead. All it takes is one mishap and those two wheels, you're going to be flipping all over the place. And then some genius in a car is racing a motorcycle on the open road. To prove what? I don't know. I want to join the F1 circuit. So you can see I've accomplished the fact that I wanted to take it easy. My heart rate is sitting, it went up a little bit, but it's sitting mostly top of zone 2. Just sitting close, even though I'm not drafting perfectly because I want these shots. So you can rest in the group, but it depends on how fast the group is going, how fit you are. So yeah. Or, you know, you're better off just riding by yourself. Because on my easy rides, I don't want to feel like I'm working at all. I don't even take any gadgets. I just go and I turn the little gears. No strain, no pain. Yeah, it's cleaner here now. I'm on the right now. I think I'm going to end it somewhere around here. I think this is where I decided to put up the camera. We're approaching Walden Road. You can see all the construction signs that those geniuses were racing into. Construction barrels more so, I think. Most likely, yep, sure enough, construction barrels. We're approaching the city of Montgomery and they're doing some construction out here. So yeah. So I don't know what you did with your weekend, but this was the Saturday ride on my rest week, and so I wanted to keep my body just active but not working too hard. Which is hard to do in a group. You gotta really focus on that and stay disciplined. So remember, get your K's in and keep those doctors far.